Hello, this is Matt Hill, and this is the last installment of my Hiker's Guide explanations. This week we wrote a little more JavaScript content to make the web page interactive. You will notice that by clicking on the arrows, we now change the picture in the background. And on the connect page, it makes sure that the passwords match. Say HELLO. Once the passwords match for making a new account, it lets you continue. So we'll start by explaining the carousel for the pictures. I stored the picture names in an array and then started with an image index of 0. So we would show this picture first, which is also already hard-coded into the CSS. Then I have a function, change header image, and we handed a value of either +1 or -1. So first we check the current image number plus its move and make sure it doesn't go above the image library length. That way if this changes in size or if we're pulling from a database, we still can't go over its max length. Then we check and make sure that putting the two together doesn't make us less than 0. If it does, then we go back to the far right side of the image library, which is length -1 because it's index. If the image index is within the actual parameters of the length of the library, we just make the appropriate move either +1 or -1. Then we build the string to load the image. So that's your standard URL for a background in CSS. Then we query the selector that we're actually going to adjust, and we use the style property with the background image property inside of that and feed it the image string. So in order to do this, we need event listeners for these arrows over here. We have the left arrow, which is just pulled by query selector and its ID, and the same thing for the right arrow. After that, we need the listeners for clicking on them. So if these two exist, then we build the listeners. If you don't have this right here, and this loads as another page as the default JS, it definitely breaks everything under it, promise. So if right arrow exists, we're going to add the event listener, and the onClick runs the change header image function that we explained up there, and it feeds it the value of +1. If you were to do a left arrow click, it feeds it the value of -1. If you see our default picture here, that's index 0. We can go to the right because that's +1, +1, -1, -1, and we'll wrap back around after we hit it 4 times. And there it is, and it works the same way. So onto the connect page. This is a form validation function, and I'm a big fan of passwords, so you always have to make sure those passwords match. This is the section where we store the two fill elements as variable objects. And this is the how we store the notification div, which is right over here. It's invisible right now. So our password match function basically checks to see if the two values are the same. And if they are the same, inner HTML stays empty. Otherwise, we get this, the passwords must match. And with some CSS magic, it shows up in a very angry red. So yet again, we're going to check and make sure these two values or fields exist on this page. We will add the event listener, which is input. So anytime you start to type inside of here, it runs the program. And it's pretty simple, so as long as they match, the angry red is not there. My name is Matt Hill, and thank you for watching my JavaScript content for the Hiker's Guide.